today we are going to see Hmax security filter. So initially in our project, payment service project, we have a validation service. So in our validation service, what it does, only authenticated user, only authenticated user should be allowed to access the resources. So authentication and authorization happens in validation microservice. So we have already seen like in our e-commerce server, this is our payment validation. Okay, there we implement Hmax authentication system. Hmax authenticated hashing mechanism. Inside it performs SHA-256 kind of algorithm which will be implementing inside. Okay, it will create one Hmax signature. Okay, we already have our secret key. Okay, okay, we already have our secret key. We pass this secret key to this ecom server. So here they already have a JSON data which we sent to our web endpoints, API endpoints. Requested JSON bodies there in our e-commerce server, and we send this secret key as well. This is our secret key. I call it as simply secret key. Okay, and here also it will execute Hmax SHA-256 algorithm. Okay, in this, okay, how he created this signature, how he generated this signature. We sent the secret key to e-commerce server, and e-commerce server we already have some JSON data which is supposed to send to payment validation through the API endpoints and send the secret key. So this JSON data and this secret key passes into a Hmax SHA-256 Hmax. By using these two, Hmax created a Hmax signature here. Okay, then what happens? Interesting thing. It will send the data to payment validation. This JSON data. It will send this JSON data. Actually, it's not only JSON data. JSON data along with the generated Hmax signature. Hmax signature. Okay. We got these two. We got this JSON data here as well. And here we are also following the same procedure. We pass the JSON data and secret key to generate the Hmax signature here. Okay, then we have another Hmax signature. Okay, sorry for the spelling. And we are going to verify these two signatures. Verify these two signatures. If it is verified, then only we will allow to access the resources in our website. Okay, this is the procedure we followed earlier. And in our application, we have three endpoints, and just get payment, which is post method get payment, and capture payment. We know capture payment, we are supposed to pass that ID slash dynamic ID. We are going to pass capture payment. It is also called the post payment. And get order details. This is, we also process some dynamic ID, and this is a get method. This is not a post method. And one more interesting thing, now we are implementing that Hmax based security for only get payment endpoint. So if any other call the capture method or get order details, we don't implement any security till now. So how we are going to implement the security for the other two endpoints as well? Because if you implement this thing only, it is not an good approach, and you need to do another custom validation for capture. You need to do another get order validation. When it goes to the production, it will throw one error and it causes severe security issues, because we implemented for this only, you know, this only. The other tools are don't get any security. We can easily hack, we can easily access. So that might be mislead to somebody. If hackers are there, they can easily hack it and they'll get that payment details. So it is we need to give security for the all of the endpoints as well. And this is where Spring security comes into picture. Spring security means which is the basic security feature which will Spring give to us. So when you add it in your pom.xml file, it will gives the default security for your application, which means it will give some default username and password kind of things. Defaultly, Spring will give you these things. By using these two, you can access the website, you can access the resources. And if you are forgot to implement the security for other endpoints, it will take care of it. There is no misleading, there is no any hacking happens. So Spring will take care of everything. Okay. But in our case, yeah, we have Spring security and default username and password, the Spring which give us. So in our case, we are going then we are implementing Hmax security for other endpoints as well. So there's a client and there's a server. I'll give you the example for usually the client and server, which means for what happens if the end user uh, do some actions, how it behaves. We are not going to discuss about the server to server communications here. So when it comes before the application, sorry, backend, there is a lot of filters are there. Okay, this is a client. This is a client, and this is a Spring Boot application. We call it as a server. Okay, in our application, we are call it as a e-com server. And when user sends a request, some request comes to the server, there are some filters are there. Okay, then only it will comes to the server controller. From controller it will goes to the service layer where we have all our business logics, and it will goes to repository layer where we do all of our database logics. Then it will go to the JSON um, entity class. It will connect, it will mapping the objects into the database. Then it will get the response. It works vice versa. From server, we'll take it. We'll take it, goes there, send the response. But if anything, if any error occurs, or if any exception happens here, I don't think it's exceptions. If any error occurs, first I'll explain it. Actually, this is the filter. These are the filters. Set of filters. Each filter has to some specific task. Okay. So if request comes here, so it works fine. So it will have everything. So it passes to another filter. Then request comes here. Then it works fine. Then passes to another filter. Then there are some errors captured here in this filter. And after what happens, it won't permit to allow that access the controller. Okay, it will immediately send the response back to the user. There is some error, you need to fix it out. There is some HTTP status code will show, like um, server 500, HTTP status 500, internal server error, something called. It will throw some errors. So what we are going to do in our projects, we are going to create a custom Hmax filter between these filters. There are set of filters are there. I'll explain it later. Okay. Finally, we have a authorization filter. If it comes to come across these filters, then finally it will have an authorization filter. Then after it will goes to the server. Generally, it happens. Okay. In our Spring security, we call it as a filter chain. Okay. And these are traditional approaches which it exists from old traditional approach like servlet Java servlet we have been using before. So we are using this kind of filters during that Java servlet mechanism were there. Still, we are using some projects in Java servlet which uh, which it had developed before. Okay. Okay. Yes. This is a Spring starter we have to add in our pom.xml file. So once we added, we get access to use Spring security dependency in our project. So after adding this, all incoming requests will be blocked by default as Spring security will intercept every request. Okay. And if you don't need this Spring security, if don't need to enter username and password, if you want to uh, use some custom filter for our application, we are going to use Hmax custom filter. But if you don't want to use this, we are simply using at Spring Boot application exclude user detail service configuration dot class. When you write this kind of things, it will automatically um, not enable the Spring Boot security in our application. Okay, we will go and explore something in Spring security official websites. Yes, yes, this is a set of filters which I have been using since our servlet MVC. There are a lot of approaches that there before the Spring comes. So the client sends the request to application. The container creates a filter chain which contains the filter instances servlet that should process the HTTP servlet request based on the path of the request URI. A Spring MVC application, the servlet is an instance of dispatcher servlet. At most, one servlet can handle single HTTP servlet request and response. Yeah, this is I have been telling you. So this is a set of filters. This is the client. This is a set of filter chain is there, and this is what we have been using in our Spring. This is the old traditional approach. Filter chain is that, but in our that when the Spring comes, it has been changed. How it changed? Client send the request, it will comes to the filter 0. Then there is filter delegating filter proxies there. There we can implement our logic. Okay, delegated proxies there. Then security filter chain is there. This is what Spring offered. Okay, this is how it different from that old approach. So old approaches. Filter 0, then it comes to filter delegating filter proxy. This is the filter chain proxy. It comes to the security filter chain. There we have a set of filters are there like this. Then we are going to write a logic inside the filters, and it will goes back to the delegated filter, then it goes to the filter, then it's servlet, then it goes to the respective controller. This is our logic we are going to build. This filter chain 0, we can add like this separate API. We can add APIs are there. So when it comes to filter chain proxy, it will be the responsibility which security filter chain should be invoked, depends on the request. And this is a code at configuration. This is supposed to write in a config file at enable web security, and it treated this as a bean. Already seen, it is treated as a bean filter. Okay, yeah, HTTP class, HTTP references are there. Using that HTTP, CSRF, and authorized HTTP request. Any request, which means any request which comes should be authorized, authenticated, then only it will allow. Then customize with the default form logging, customize with the default HTTP build. We are going to use build builder pattern here to create an objects. Form logging, use username password authentication filter, which is nothing but username password authentication filter. Authorization builder, this is going to implement authorization logic, and we are going to implement our logic here. I'll explain the code. Yeah, there are a lot of filters out there in our application defaultly, so we can see the filters, what are they. So if you add any custom filters between these filters, you can see when you want to add, um, before the before all of the filters or after some filters, you need to write specific business logic which will tackled for some business, sorry, incoming request only. You need to play, if you want to place it between any of these filters, you can do it. Spring will give the freedom to us. And this is the custom code. Add filter before authorization filter. We, if you want to add a filter, new custom filter before authorization filter, you have to write a code like this: filter before, then R filter instance, then before authorization filter. Okay, explanation they'll give here. This is handling security exceptions. Security filter, we can add some exception filter here. Then it will go continually processing request normally. Security exception, from that security exception it goes to start authentication. Security context holder request cache, authentication entry point, then access denied handler. Okay, we'll see this first, and how I am implement this filters in our payment validation service. Okay, config file. First we goes to payment service provider. We include the Spring security, and we're going to implement that controller. Where is controller? Here is our controller. Create payment, sorry, create payment. We are going to read that Hmax signature and request body payment response. Then we convert it to JSON and pass it to the verify method. It all happens, it will verify that signature, incoming signature. And here we have the capture and get mapping for get payment details. Okay, config, in that config folder we have to create a security filter configuration, and here I implemented the custom filter first. Initially we have this code at bean config, at bean annotation, security filter chain config, what we saw in that document we have applied here. we don't need this now, so we have to remove these two lines. Instead of, we have add filter before Hmax filter before the authorization filter. So the Hmax filter will run before the authorization filter. And session management, session creation policy. This is something, let's see, session creation policies. Configure the session creation policy for the security context. Session creation policy is used to indicate that the application should not create any HTTP. So we should not create any HTTP session for this. So that's why we have been using this line. Okay. Then Pojo class request user, then wrap request, then HMAC filter. First, we need to create a custom filter by using extends once per request filter class. So in this, what we are gonna do is, first we got a um, service layer. We call it as a service layer. Then initialize the service layer. Then this is the filter logic inside the do filter internal methods. We have a serverless request response methods, response and filter chain as well. So here we do that main logics. And before that, we need to implement HMAC authentication token by extends abstraction authentication tokens. Why we need to do this means there are some credentials and principles are there. Create custom auth token. We need to create custom auth token by using abstract token. Here we have object credentials and principles. And principle means we need to define our ecom server here. Here ecom server name. If is valid. Actually, is valid means signature. We are receiving the JSON. This logic performs here. Verify the signature. So if it is valid, the security context holder got create empty context. Security context is nothing but this is where Spring Security store all the details, credential details, everything here. Then authentication. Then here we create HMAC authentication token. We need to specify the principal and credentials. Then context dot set authentication. Then we will set this authentication here. The set context security holders or dot set context. We have to declare set the context by using this context here. Then we need to pass the filter, continue the filter chain. If the signature is valid, it will pass that request to the next filter in a row. And there is, before wrapped request, we have been using something called get http servlet request dot get header, something like that. What is the issue with this means once you read the value, you can't read it again. It will throw some exception. Then only we be following this method wrapped request class. we simply get the request from that client side and wrapped it inside the wrapped request. Then we need to get the body from that wrapped request, simply called raw JSON, and we passed that raw JSON means the JSON object we have. And by using this class JSON element, we need to convert the parse the raw JSON, which means we get a actually we get a JSON data from client. We need to parse it. Parse it means with the spaces. So there is a client and there is a server. There the e-commerce server have some Hmax signature by using the JSON data. When it comes to here, we are going to generate by using the JSON, generate the Hmax signature by using the same JSON data. But after this, it will goes here. We have some spaces in the JSON data. Some spaces in the JSON data. So if we have spaces in the received JSON data, our Hmax signature will become different. Yes, our Hmax signature will become different. Become different because there is a space. Hmax will calculate the space as well. Okay, so it will become wrong. So it is not valid. So that's why we implement this logic. It removes the spaces, removes the spaces from raw JSON and convert it back to JSON string. Yeah, mm, we need to pass the JSON string only, otherwise it is not valid. So here we convert and we get the JSON request, and we should pass here. This is our signature method in our service class. So JSON request and receive a Hmax sign. So it will verify both the Hmax signatures. So if it is verified, then it will allow to access the next filter. I'll show demo. Yeah, the application runs now. And here Postman. This is a Spring defaultly set the user password. By using the password we can access. But now here we implement the Hmax security filter, and we have added the filter so far. So here yes, signature, it's true. we received that JSON body here for JSON. Yes, and it will access that by using that rapid request. We can access here and here as well in our controller as well. So it is properly valid. So yes, our payment validation is working fine.